Buffalo Bills have suspended offensive line coach Aaron Kromer for 6 games without pay after investigating an incident in which he allegedly punched a teenage boy in Florida. On Friday, the Florida State Attorney's Office dropped battery charges against Kromer, saying that Kromer and the parents of the 2 children involved in the incident had reached an amicable resolution. In a statement Sunday night, the Bills said they'd worked with the NFL in their investigation and were supportive of the league's personal conduct policy, which holds NFL and club employees to a higher standard. Stephen A., we'll start with you. Your reaction to this?
Well, I think I applaud the NFL and the Buffalo Bills working in conjunction with one another to reach this conclusion. The fact is that coaches should be held to a higher standard. They're leaders of men. And if they don't know how to conduct themselves appropriately, how can they police individuals that they have dominion over? So I think from a logical perspective, that's the route to go. In terms of engaging in condemnation about Aaron Kromer, I'm going to be careful about that. Here's why. Certainly, we're not going to advocate violence. We're not going to sit there and think that anybody has the justification to put their hands on somebody, because Lord knows in this world that's something that we need to do everything we can to make sure that we veer away from that, because violence is never the answer. But you're going to, I wonder about the kid. I'm thinking about a grown man in Kromer. Why would you hit a teenage kid? What sense does that make? Then you think about the size on some of these teenagers. You think about the potential. What did that teenager do to his son, assuming something was done? You think about how big that teenager was, the way that he came at you, who instigated the matter, etc., etc. We read the story and we say a teenager and kids, and we're thinking a grown man putting his hands on kids. What the hell is the matter with him? But then again, you don't know all the particulars. And I'd like to believe that this is not something that's in Kromer's past. I'm not aware. If it is, I apologize, because I don't know. And obviously you don't want to hear that he threatened to kill, the boys or the family if they reported the incident, because obviously he's got his NFL career to look out for. So you hear those things, it's incredibly alarming. You can't condone it. He deserved to be punished for it on its face. All I'm saying is that there's 2 sides to a lot of different stories. They reached a settlement amicably. We don't know the particulars about what exactly transpires. But I would remind folks out there, you got some teenagers around here rolling around 200, 250 pounds, or some big boys. And even though they're teenagers in terms of their birth certificate, they certainly don't look the part. So I would ask folks to keep in mind stuff like that. And plus, we don't know what the teenager did to his son, whether he was trying to protect his son, or we just don't know. All we know is what we read. And based on what we read, clearly, you have to hold him to a higher standard and say, this impugns the integrity of the NFL. We got to shut that down.
Look, Stephen A., on its face, a 6-game suspension of an assistant coach sounds pretty harsh, but I loved it because of what you just said. This is an authority position. This is a man who's supposed to be in charge of a group of players, and I want to see that man punished even more harshly than a player would be punished. Even though, as you point out, the battery charges against Aaron Kromer and his son were dropped. A settlement was reached, but it was alleged he did punch a boy in the face and, as you said, threatened to kill his family if he went and yelled to the police about this or told anyone about this. Now, I'm sure Aaron Kromer has his side of that story, as you correctly point out and fairly point out. I get that. It is being settled. So, on the face of it, that there were, he was not convicted of this crime. But still, here's my point. If you are an NFL coach at any level, assistant coach, offensive line coach, as he is, you cannot allow yourself to get involved in any situation like this. And if you do, I'm with you. I'm happy that the Bills, working in conjunction with the National Football League, chose to suspend this man for 6 games. He deserved to go for 6 games because you need the message sent that some fracas, some altercation over beach chairs cannot involve an authority figure of the National Football League. So I'm very happy with this punishment, as harsh as it might seem.
Only thing that I want to add is that, again, we all have to be careful about how far we're willing to go with this, because what if indeed he was doing it to protect his son? We don't know. And we can say what we want to say, but if you're coming to the defense of your family, who might find themselves in a precarious, or dare we say endangered position, we can talk all we want about what's right and wrong. Yeah. But you're gonna act differently. You're gonna act differently.
All right, we'll leave it there. Moving on, it's baseball. Skip and Stephen A., did you know that the Yankees are in first place? Well, David Price makes his Blue Jays debut this afternoon. Do the Jays have enough to catch Stephen A.'s Yanks? That debate is coming up.
First Take is presented by Chase, so you can easily master the way you bank. And in part by Golden Corral, the best buffet in the USA, now serving breakfast for lunch and dinner. And Volkswagen, isn't it time for German engineering?
Look out, Yankees. With David Price now leading the Blue Jays rotation and making his debut today, Toronto's playoff dreams could finally become a reality. Skip, in case you didn't hear Stephen A. multiple times, the Yanks are in first place. They currently lead the AL East by 6 games over the Orioles and the Blue Jays. Skip, we start with you. What chance do you give the Blue Jays of catching the Yanks?
Stephen A., it's over. The Toronto Blue Jays will catch your Yankees and win the American League East. They added the best bat on the market in Troy Tulowitzki, and the man I think was the best pitcher on the market in David Price of Vanderbilt University. They added a quality leadoff hitter in Den Revere and a quality reliever in Mark Lowe. Your guys are in trouble, and I think they're about to be done 6 games ahead.
Oh, please. 6 games ahead. That's right.
Please.
They ain't catching the Yankees. Listen, Donaldson is no joke. Batista's no joke. Adam Tulowitzki to their lineup is impressive. I get all of that. But Burley and R.A. Dickey, I mean, give me a break. I'm not worried about the Toronto Blue Jays, okay?
You better
Have you
be.
see what Joe Girardi's been doing with my New York Yankees? You see Mark Teixeira on this tear right now with 29 homers. Batting average is elevated from the 230s earlier on. He's at 266 now. A-Rod second on the team in home runs, got about 24 bat, 277. You've got this kid, Brett Gardner, who's an all-star, and by the way, he's at 288. He's balling. Ellsbury is back, and by the way, the pitching staff, Sabathia and Warren and Betances and Ivanova and Tanaka and Pineda's coming back. Pineda's will be back in a few days. I'm not worried. I'm not worried.
Pineda's hurt.
Who?
You're in trouble.
Hurt now. I said he'll be back. He'll be back. He ain't out for the year. He'll be back. Because he's a Yankee, baby. That's why I know. Because he's the New York Yankees. Start spreading the news.
Oh, gosh. Speaking of being back, when are you guys going to be back?
Led by A-Rod.
I want to
I miss
be
you both. Happy birthday.